gain Indestructible and Annihilator 1 until end of turn. Never mind. There is Annihilator. It's right there. That's so disgusting. Because that's a 3-drop. What are you talking? Like 3/2/2 with what the F is that? Because if it's that good of a card, then you absolutely should be playing it. But this is, like, I don't think I would be playing this. Ululek Fused Atrocity is Wooburg or Noburg. However you want to spin it. And honestly, you probably just go Noburg each time. But, what's up, Deckheads? Welcome back to MTG with me. It's the Gainswalker. Today, I've got a Mythic tier list for you. This one is Modern Horizons 3 tier list. A lot of Mythic cards in here. Some that you've already seen that are definitely well known, but some that are new that look pretty promising. As far as the tier list, this is going to be S, A, B, C, D. The last 10 cards here are from like a special limited whatever in the set. This website that I'm using is Mythic Spoiler. And if you look all the way to the bottom or toward the bottom, full face artwork there, lots of cool stuff. Again, same thing. And this set has the fetch lands. Like, oh, so good. Look at all of these fetch lands. Oh, so good. Such value in this. I bet you this is going to be an expensive set. We'll see for sure. And as far as alternate artworks, I think that's the last row of them. Yeah, that's the last one there. All right, back up to the top. So we're going to rank them out. And the first one is don't forget to like and subscribe. That's the first one. That's always the first thing you should do. Hit that like button. Hit the like button. Do it. Hit it. Alright, so first one is a Johnny Nakati Paria. Let me zoom in on that for you. This Planeswalker 2-drop 1/2 ETB, create a 2/1 white cat warrior creature token. Whenever one or more other cats you control die, you may exile a Johnny, then return him to the battlefield flipped over. His Planeswalker has a +2 where it's a +1/+1 counter on each cat you control. Okay, so a tribal cats thing is what's going on. For 0, create a 2/1 white cat warrior creature token. When you do, if you control red permanent other than a Johnny, deals damage equal to the number of creatures you control to any target. That's good. Any target is always better than target creature or planeswalker. And the -4 is each opponent chooses an artifact, a creature, an enchantment, and a planeswalker from among the non-land permanents they control, then sacrifices the rest. I like it because it says each opponent, so that does add some value as far as maybe like a commander card, which is really what this set is all about. Modern Masters. Yeah, modern is important, but I feel like modern and the commander booster boxes that you see that people buy, those are going to be like the main played cards among the commander community, I'll say. I typically like to play standard because there's even in standard now has so many sets in it. There's a lot of variables, so it's kind of hard to track where the meta is going. It can shift a lot, and it can shift drastically in a new direction very quickly, which is fun. But with modern and legacy, it's just going to be quicker and quicker. So with standard, you need to have a good board state by or be winning the match by turn 4, turn 5. I want to say you should and the mono red can win it by turn 3, 4. And so with my legacy deck, it's basically whoever plays first. Sorry, not whoever draws first. Whoever plays first. And so modern is probably like turn 2, turn 3, I want to say. So it gets pretty rough to compete and enjoy the game at that level. But there's definitely a need for it. This card is good. It fits many different strategies. So after that red, I'm gonna put it A tier. Also, actually, you know what? A Johnny's awesome S tier for a Johnny. Next one we have, and lots of 3-color. I noticed like tribal, like Khans of Tarkir was the. I think that was the most recent set where it was like all the groups were groups of 3. Arna, Kennerud, Sky Captain. This is Esper and 2 others. 4/4 Flying Lifelink. Ward is discard a card. Ward is so good. It tempts your opponent just to be like, you know what? Okay, I'm gonna discard a card just to target this person. But so in Esper, you're playing counters, right? You're like, I'm waiting for you to do what you are obviously doing. You know what I mean? Discard a card to target sweet counter, and like, oh, it fits very well. Anyway, whenever a modified creature you control attacks, double the number of each kind of counter on it. Then for each non-token permanent attached to it, create a token that's a copy of that permanent attached to that creature. The only problem is this is like an aura theme, and Esper, Mono Blue, even Azurius Control, Dimir, they all of those control groups, they don't like to have a lot of creatures on the board state. They don't like to have a lot of permanents out. They may have all creature like this out. That's enough. 4/4 flying lifelink that you just protect that. You should be okay. But a lot of them don't have a board state that includes those auras. Even though I like a card like All That Glitters. If you're familiar with this card's awesome. This old artwork that I'm showing here is amazing. This card I've had a lot of success with. You run 4 of these, and it just gets better and better. So you found a way for those auras to be benefited, or like draw more cards for playing enchantments, anything like that, just to make it even more worth it to play it. But uh, that's the only downside to this card. So I'm gonna say A tier for sure. All right, next one. This is, what is it? Flamekin? Ashling Flame Dancer. That's what it is. 4-drop. 4/4. I'm already liking it. And this is in a different language. So let's read to the side, shall we? You don't lose unspent red mana as steps and phases end. I already want it. Just because that's so good. Okay, alright, hold on. It's an elemental shaman. 4-drop, 4/4. Magecraft. Whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery spell, discard a card, and then draw a card. I don't like the discard and draw, but okay. If this second time this ability is resolved, deals 2 damage to each opponent, each creature they control. If it's the third time, add 4 red mana. Whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery spell, and if it's the third time, add 4 mana. The 4 mana sounds good, but by the time you've done that, that's barely like your mana back. You know what I mean? So you probably wouldn't have planned that like 3-card move to benefit from that. But it's still good. That's still pretty neat. 4-drop, 4/4 that gives you a little bit of wiggle room with your mana curves. Kind of just shifts the window out. But for sure 8 and A tier. Oh, this next one. Okay, this one is actually, I think this is farther down on the list. Yeah. The Eldrazi. This just Emrakul and his buddies. They're back to make sure you just don't have fun when you play Magic. Annihilator. No, I don't think this one actually has Annihilator, but here we go, right here. This is Azlask, the Swelling Scourge. 3-drop, 2/2. Whenever the Swelling Scourge or another colorless creature you control dies, gets you get an experience counter. Ah. For WUBRG, Wooburg, just pumpable. Creatures you control get +X/+X till end of turn, where X is the number of experience counters you have. Signs and spawns you control gain indestructible and annihilator 1 until end of turn. Never mind. There is annihilator. It's right there. That's so disgusting. Because that's a 3-drop. What are you talking? Like 3/2/2 with what the F is that? It's probably S tier. I don't play the Eldrazi decks. Probably because that's like, hey, do you want to spend hundreds of dollars to get a Magic deck that's just OP? I mean, that answer is probably yes. Technically, you probably do over time, especially players that have been doing it for a while. You're probably up there with how much you've spent on Magic decks. I'm gonna say it's probably S tier. 3-drop 2/2. Get experience counters for Wooburg, so that's 2 turns away minimum. If you're just getting one land a turn, nothing else there. Creatures get plus that, okay. And I don't know, the science and the spawns, I think the science are the little 1/1s that tap for colorless mana. Same with the spawns. But I don't know how many of those you could have by turn 3 when you play that to get benefit. But if it's something good and you can do something really awesome turn 4 to get like an amazing board state, maybe you could do like some sort of Eldrazi push. I don't know. But that seems possible. It's definitely A tier. We'll throw A tier. Next, we have mono green. Where are we at? Right here, we have Birthing Ritual 2-drop. At the beginning of your end step, if you control a creature, look at the top 7 cards of your library. Then you may sacrifice a creature. If you do, you may put a creature card with a mana value X or less from among those cards onto the battlefield, where X is 1 plus the sacrificed creature's mana value. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. I kind of like it. Kind of like a Birthing Pod, but not really. This is a 2-drop, I think it said it was. Yeah. An enchantment, it stays on the field. So versus Birthing Pod. Birthing Pod's an artifact. I think it's a 3-drop. This is a 2-drop enchantment. You control a creature, look at the top 7. If you control a creature, just any creature. So turn 1, Birds of Paradise. Turn 2, this thing. Move to end step. Immediately at the end of turn 2, I'm looking at the top 7 cards. You may sacrifice birds, so I could sacrifice my Birds of Paradise if I did that. If you do, you may put a creature card with mana value X or less, where X is 1 plus its mana value, so I could put a 2 drop down. That's so good. I really like that. Because it's not overpowering. And the odds you're ready to go for enchantment removal right away is pretty low. Like, you're not going to mainboard that. You probably sideboard enchantment removal. I guess it depends on the meta. Right now, there's a lot of that going on. So, you might actually. But this is good. At the beginning of your end step, look at the top 7. You may sack a creature. Right, so that's a very easy requirement. You're likely going to have that, so that can fit in most decks. It's just 1 green and 1 colorless, so pretty much anybody can work that in. This is S tier. It's got to be S tier. I feel like it's S tier. Alright, next one is, I think that's Esper. And what is that? Looks like New Capenna, almost, the artwork, I want to say. Her name is Rhea. Ethereum Shaper. Oh, I'm sorry, it's not Esper. It's something else. I'll have to look that up. Alright, so this is a 4-drop, 4/4. ETB, create 2/1/1 blue Thopter artifact creature tokens with flying. So it's four mana for 6 power and 6 toughness total. Three different creatures on the board. 2 pumpables, sack 2 creatures. She could do 3 damage to target player or planeswalker. Target creature gets -4 until end of turn, or you gain 5 life. So you could sack 4 artifacts and give -8 at instant speed. That's pretty interesting because you could definitely get a lot of Thopters out. I think with Boros has the most Thopter production, but I could be wrong. I haven't really looked at the Thopters as an option. I haven't really seen anybody else do it either. But that could be a really strong card. That's cool. I would say A tier, but let's go B tier just because the mana fixing. That's pretty specific. I just don't think a lot of people are going to be able to do that. All right, the next one is I think from one of the commander sets. What that symbol was? Yeah. This one is interesting. This is Kath, Famed Mechanist. For American or Jeskai. That's what you would call that. Fabricate 1, 3/3. Other non-token creatures you control have Fabricate 1. 2 tap, choose 1, populate, and What? They have a tap proliferate for that cheap. I mean, it's kind of weird that that's a specific mana cost. But, alright, so Fabricate. When this creature enters battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on it. Or create a 1/1 servo artifact creature token. So, I like this because this, you could do the whole modified creature thing. So you could build a deck around this and like modified, like +1/+1. Or you could just go for straight board state with a little bit of control action, a little bit of burn, and a little bit of create a bunch of tokens. You know, populate and proliferate, all strong stuff. So this is A tier, almost S tier. It's almost S tier because I feel like you're right there. There's something that this is missing, but I don't know what it is. You'll have to tell me. Okay, next one is the next two are also from the set. Well, I don't know what it's called. Let's see. It just says Commander, so it must be some Commander set. I think these are the boxes that you get over the counter on pre-release nights, which I think is incidentally tonight. And well, this weekend, pre-release weekend for the Modern Horizons. Okay, Corum the Undertaker 1 Jund 0/5. Corum the Undertaker gets +X/+0, where X is the greatest power among creature cards in all graveyards. Whenever Corum attacks, each player mills a card. During each of your turns, you may play a land and cast a spell from among cards in your graveyard that were put there from libraries this turn. Interesting. It's always cool to see cards that use both players' graveyards. Uh, it just really makes people annoyed when you're playing their stuff. Exile the top card off of your opponent's library, and your opponent can play it and use mana to cast it however they want. That is infuriating when you're playing the game. So, I'm working at making a deck around that right now. That's generally how that works. You find something that is just so infuriating, and you're like, well, I can either hate this or I can take this and then make this a better situation. All right, so this guy is 0/5 that I don't like. I do like that it's, it's buffed based on whatever creatures are in the graveyard. So it's probably something by turn 4, but I don't like that it depends on it. At least make it a 1/5, and then I could care about it a little bit. But because it is a 0/5, I'm gonna go D tier. That means I don't like it. There's like a large portion of the time where that could be useless, and you don't want to deal with that. The next one is Dissa the Restless, John and 2/5/6. Whenever a Lithergoyf permanent card is put into your graveyard from anywhere other than the battlefield, put it onto the battlefield. Whenever one or more creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, create a Tarmogoyf token. That's cool. The Tarmogoyf tokens are the tokens that get bigger based on the amount of different card types among cards in graveyards. You've noticed the trend there in a lot of these cards, playing off things in the graveyard. That's just one of those creature types. But it's pretty neat. 5/6 for 5. It's strong, but it's not crazy. I'm gonna say B or C. Let's go B. Alright, this next one, mono green. This is from the normal set. Pretty sure. Yep, right here. Eladrin. Elad. Let me zoom in a little bit here. Eladamri. Eladamri. Corvectol. Eladamri Corvectol. I think I got it right. Anyway, if you drop 3/3, you may look at the top card of your library at any time. You may cast creature spells from the top of your library. Love those abilities. So great. Free drop 3/3 for that ability is pretty standard, I want to say, among the cards that I'm familiar with at least. 1 tap. Tap 2 untap creatures you control. Reveal a card from your hand or top card of your library. If you revealed a creature card this way, put it onto the battlefield. Ooh! For 1 tap, 2 untap creatures you control. It's kind of like Elvish Piper, but Elvish Piper is, I think, a tap for 4. This is a 1 tap. Tap 2 untap creatures you control. Alright, so that's kind of a big ask, but you can do that in response to people doing board wipes and stuff, or anything interesting like that, to kind of do that in response to a board wipe, get Avacyn out, boom, everything's indestructible and hex, like, those are good moves. If you reveal a creature card this way, put it on the battlefield. Activate only during your turn. Yeah, I mean, this is an S tier card. It's gotta be. So good. And next one, do we need to talk about it? Is it worth talking about? Because everyone knows this card. Emrakul. The World Anew. 12 drop, 12/12. When you cast a spell, gain control of all creatures target player controls, flying, protection from spells, and from permanents that were cast this turn. When Emrakul the World Anew leaves the battlefield, sacrifice all creatures you control. Madness pays 6 colorless mana. Like, ooh, that's so rough. That's so heavy. Like, here's some of the previous Emrakuls. The 15/15/15 Emrakul. Can't be countered when you cast a spell, take an extra turn. That one was brutal. I remember playing against that one. Protection from spells that are 1 or more colors. Annihilator 6. I'm saying Annihilator was just brutal to play against. I just couldn't. Emrakul the Promised End 13/13/13. Emrakul the Promised End costs 1 less to cast for each card type among cards in your graveyard. You would probably expect to see something like that, given the Tarmogoyf kind of situation there. I've noticed a lot of those card types looking over what we got in the released cards. But this is interesting. I like it. It's 12 drop 12 12, which makes sense. It's like Emrakul's getting smaller. 15 15, 13 13, 12 12. Emrakul's not hacking it. It's still good though. As far as Eldrazi cards go, when you cast it, gain control of all creatures target player controls at a late game situation or a situation where you're putting creatures out around casting their normal cost, around hard cast. What a lot of people say when you just pay the 12 mana is going to be in a situation where that's going to drastically help them. Like, oh, you're building up a board state, you're about to swing for lethal, you know it's lethal, and you find a way to flash this in on your opponent's main phase 1 to just grab their creatures. Now it's your turn. You play, swing, and just destroy. And it says you gain control of target of all creatures target player controls. The all part is nuts. So because you're not targeting a specific creature, that's gonna get around hexproof. That's gonna get around a bunch of stuff. That's crazy good. So it also doesn't say until the end of turn. So that means you just get them. That's nuts. Protection from spells and from permanents that were cast this turn. The protection is okay. It's good because it's a solid, like, protection is just solid. Like if you've got pro green and you're playing a mono green deck, you just walk right through them. You know what I mean? But that could be bad because if you were trying to play a spell, like if I wanted to play Angel Fire on that, I couldn't cast Angel Fire on that to give it haste and send it across even more. And then it says here, Madness pays 6. So if you were to discard this for any reason, you could cast it for 6, which is nuts. Right? That's not that hard to do. In fact, I could do that with my deck, my standard deck, very easily. But again, it's not a standard thing. This is a modern thing. S tier. It's got to be S tier. All right, mono green. Grist Voracious Larva. 1-drop, 1/2 Death Touch. Whenever Grist Voracious Larva or another creature enters the battlefield under your control, if it entered from your graveyard or you cast it from your graveyard, you may pay 1 green mana. If you do, exile it, then return it to the battlefield transformed. And it's Planeswalker. +1 ability, create a 1/1 black and green insect creature token, then mill 2 cards. Put a death touch counter on the token if a black card milled this way. Destroy a target artifact or enchantment for the -2 and the -6. For each creature card in your graveyard, create a token that's a copy of it, except the 1/1 black and green insect. That last part, ruined it. Except it's a 1/1 insect. Come on. It's still pretty good though for a 1-drop that turns into a planeswalker. That is pretty decent. You know what I mean? What's the requirement here to flip? It says blah 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 ETB. Okay. Alright, so whenever this or another creature enters the battlefield under control, if it entered from your graveyard or you cast it from your graveyard, you may pay this. So you have to play this from your graveyard and somehow pay it for 2. So you pay 2 for us, cast this somehow from your graveyard. You may exile it, and boom. So it is a 2-drop planeswalker, not a one drop. You just have to find a way to play it from your graveyard. And this is Grist, the Plague Sword. That's actually not that hard to do. Golgari can do that. Golgari can do that pretty decently. And I'm just thinking standard. Honestly, I'm not thinking overall. I'm sure there's every kind of way now. This is pretty solid. A or B tier. Nothing like, oh my gosh. We'll go B tier. Alright, next is a dragon. This is Heragast Erupting Nullkite. 9 drop, 6/6. Emerge for 8. You may cast a spell by sacrificing a creature. Paying the emerge cost reduces the cost of this by that creature's CMC. So if it's a 6 drop creature, then the emerge cost of 8 is now just going to be 6 less, or the 2 red, if that makes sense. So pretty solid. Flying, each creature spell you cast has emerge. The emerge cost is equal to its mana cost. So if you had this in a what'd you call it? If you had this in an artifact deck, that could be very huge. Be very, very strong. Because then you may cast a spell by sacrificing a creature. You can keep playing creatures. You can keep emerging creatures, and then using the creature that you emerged with to sack to keep emerging other things out, and just kind of keep going down the line. And then whatever their ETBs are, that's kind of like how you would get more benefit. So what does this say? This says, when you cast a spell, you may exile your hand. If you do, draw 3 cards. So it's just giving you ammo too. You emerge it, you get some more stuff, draw 3 cards, you sack it to emerge something else. I don't know. There's a lot you can do with it, but the 9 drop 6/6, you have to have some sort of skill to know how to play this for that to be very useful. So for that reason, it's like not straightforward at all. Like you could play this as a noob and play it for 9 and swing over the top with the 6/6 flyer. You know what I mean? And if you didn't know the emerge stuff, maybe this is like, maybe you didn't put enough creatures in the deck, that wouldn't help you that much. So yeah, I'm gonna say A tier. Maybe you think it's S tier, maybe it is, but I think it's, I don't think it is. Next is, that is part of the commander set, so I gotta go down here to the commander set. And I know I can't pronounce that at all. This is Geode Moag Ancient. Simic and 2 of any. ETB, create a 1/1 green forest dryad land creature token for each time you cast your commander from the command zone this game. At the beginning of each combat, land creatures you control get +X/+X till end of turn, where X is Geode's power. Huh. I like that. I like it because Simic is very strong on the land creatures anyway. So if you had like a commander deck that was just like all land creatures and things that utilize lands and spells in that nature, the forest dryads are big. I know there's the 1/1. It's technically a land, but it's also technically a creature. Those are pretty cool. It's A, or it's B, maybe A. I want to say by turn 4 you've probably played your commander, so this makes sense. Get a little bit of a benefit, and then you could work towards playing it for a better benefit in the game later. So I think this will be A. B. I'll go B. Alright, next one is pretty well known. If you like angels, you've probably seen this card. And where is this? This is the regular set. Here we go. Kalia the Vast. Let me scroll it over. Oh. Oh, look at that alternate artwork. That looks good. That looks really good. I don't know what this is, but this looks good. This looks great. Okay, so it's a 4-drop 2/2 flying. Whenever Kalia the Vast attacks an opponent, You may put an angel, demon, or dragon creature card from your hand onto the battlefield tapped and attacking that opponent. That last part to that ability is so crucial. You don't just put it onto the battlefield. That's already a great ability. But you're going to put it onto the battlefield tapped and attacking. The only thing better than that would be like, I want you to put it on the battlefield tapped and attacking, and then untap them. There's an additional combat phase. Like, tell me that. That's what I want to hear after that. Like, that's what I want to hear. I'm gonna say the only downside of this card is a 2/2 flyer. So a lot of that cheap burn spells will get this. And that's the problem you run into with a lot of these high value cards. Is you gotta focus so much on your mana fixing just to guarantee that you could play that Mardu card out by turn 4. It hurts you a lot. You have to like make sure that land is perfect. It's a lot of playtesting. But if this was like a 3/3, if this was a 4-drop 4/4 flyer that did all that, it'd be amazing. So it's S tier. Also, this other artwork's pretty nice too. It's S tier. It's well known. I'm pretty sure it's been in several of the vaults. That you could get the sealed packs of like 5 to 15 cards or whatever that they randomly release with different artworks. So it's been in some of those. It's a popular card. Next one, that looks like Kozilek, I want to say. Yeah, that's Kozilek. Broken Reality. 9-drop 9/9. Whenever you cast the spell to 2 target players, each manifest 2 cards from their hands. For each card manifested this way, you draw a card. So that when you manifest, you put a card face down as a 2/2 creature. Turn it face up anytime for its mana cost if it's a creature card. Colorless creatures you control. Other colorless creatures you control get +3/+2. So this guy doesn't get the benefit, but other creatures getting +3/+2, that's pretty strong. Especially when you just manifested 2 cards. You potentially have 5/4s, 2 5/4s, and a 9/9 for 9. Let's see. I mean, yeah, this is just a beefy board state presence card. You definitely want to find a way to get that out on the board. And it says when you cast the spell, so that's unfortunate. If it was an ETB, whenever this enters the battlefield, then you could really break that. Because just like blink, 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 but you can't. So that is almost S tier. This is just a really expensive board state card. That's not like, oh my goodness, like even with the Kalia, even with the other Emrakul here, there was still like a solid value with that. It wasn't just like heavy power toughness. The next card we have here, Necro Dominance, 3-drop, just three swamps. Exactly 3 swamps. Skip your draw step. You don't get any more. At the beginning of your end step, you may pay any amount of life. If you do, draw that many cards. Your maximum hand size is 5. If a card token would be put into your graveyard from anywhere, exile instead. What? This is so wild. You know people love these kinds of cards too. So if a card or a token would be put into your graveyard from anywhere, exile instead. So your graveyard is just like, that doesn't exist. Your draw step doesn't exist. But for my draw step, I can pay any amount of life and draw that many cards. Do you know how nuts that is? To get that in a storm deck is crazy. Be like, yeah, I'm just gonna pay 10 life, dig as much as you can, and draw like all the stuff you need just to hit the combo, and then be like, oh, okay, sweet, game 2. You know, there's a lot of potential here, especially because, like I said, Legacy is that turn 1. Whoever plays first usually is gonna take that match. So this is a strong card, very specific. So because it is that specific, it's not S tier. I don't, because you could probably get away, like, you probably end up hurting yourself more often than not. So I'm gonna say B tier. I'm gonna say B tier. I think the next one is Lithergoy, Lithergoy, Nethergoy, some kind of goy. Quit goifing around. you, you goifer. Ooh, ooh. One drop. I cannot get this. Hold on. All right, what are you doing to me right now? This I cannot handle. There we go. Okay. It's a one drop. Its power is equal to the number of card types among cards in your graveyard, and its toughness is equal to that number plus one. It's got an escape cost. For 3, exile any number of other cards from your graveyard with 4 or more card types among them. That seems a bit specific. That's probably going to be a lot harder to do than you think. But hey, a one drop with that kind of ability and that much variability with power and toughness could be good. I don't know. It's also not legendary. So you could have 4 of those puppies. You could. We'll put it in C tier for now because I honestly, at first glance, none of that's like amazing to me. Ocelot Pride, is that where we're at? One drop, 1/1. First strike, lifelink, ascend. If you control 10 or more permanents, you get the city's blessing for the rest of the game. At the beginning of your end step, if you gain life this turn, create a 1/1 white cat creature token. You have the city's blessing for each token that you control that entered the battlefield this turn. Create a token that's a copy of it. So just massive token production. It's a one drop 1/1 with crazy abilities, and it can create just a nonsense board state if you don't deal with it. That right there is a turn one commander game play. Because people are going to be taking their time, and that's just going to get out of hand. You know what I mean? So that is definitely a good card. That is almost I'm gonna S tier it for sure, for sure. Back into the commander zone. Dun, 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 and I'm going to the commander zone. Dun, 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 take it to commander zone. If I can find it. Jeez. There we go. There it is. Right there. There it is. Almost. Queen of Vesuvia. This is the what was it? Vesuvian Drifter or whatever for the Aftermath set, I think it was. Olmo Queen of Vesuvia. So 3 drop, it's Simic and 2. So either forest or island. Not 4 drop, this is a 3 drop. And whenever at ETB or attack, put an everything counter on each of up to 1 target land and of up to 1 target creature. Each land with an everything counter on is a land in addition to its other types. Okay. Each non-land creature with an everything counter on is every creature type. What honestly is going on with that? I'm gonna have to try again on that one. Like I just have what? All right. Each land with an everything counter on it is every land type in addition to other types. Okay. Each non. All right. So your lands are every land. Your creatures are every kind of creature. Okay. Gotcha. Now I get you. That's pretty cool. I really like that actually. A tier. Plus the artwork looks kind of cool. I like that. All right. The next one. This one is main set. The main set. Where you at, though? There you are. Flage. Titan of Fire's Fury. 3-drop, 6/6. ETB, sacrifice it unless it escaped. It's like, hey, did you want to cast this? Throw it out! Whenever Flage enters the battlefield or attacks, it deals 3 damage to any target and you gain 3 life. Okay, so it's a 3-drop. I played it. I have to throw it out, but I deal 3 damage, gain 3 life to any target. So that's not bad. So for 3, it's a deal 3 damage, gain 3 life. For 4, play it from the graveyard, exile 5 other cards from your graveyard. So you have to have had a good amount of stuff in your graveyard. Then it's a 6/6 Elder Giant. A little hard to get out from the board, but it'll be good when you get it. Either way, it's burn along the way. It's A, if not S tier. I'm gonna say, because the specific mana cost, I've seen people try to play stuff like this, and it's just really hard to do. But a lot of these games, when you play them, you know there's a limit. And I brought this up before. With standard, you can think about games going to turn 4, turn 5. And that is your like mid to late game thought, right? But your legacy, like the other end of the spectrum, the farthest end of the spectrum in the other direction, it's like who plays first, who on that one turn kind of thing. What the point I'm trying to make is this is a turn 3 play to deal 3 damage, or a turn 4 play from the graveyard. What are the odds by turn 4 you have 5 other cards in your graveyard to exile, and specifically double Boros on turn 4? That's a lot to ask, and a lot of like situational like this needs to happen for that to be successful. So most of the time you probably wouldn't get that turn 4, even if you did. It's just that's so specific. It's just not gonna happen. You know what I mean? So I'll say A tier, but it's the mana that ruined that card. This card could have been crazy good. It's almost exactly what they wanted to be, but they just this double Boros for escape here. That's what ruined it for him. All right, next is one of the legendary lands. Oh, that's right. I saw this. Lands are important, folks. Don't forget your lands. Phyrexian Tower. Alright, so this sacrifice a creature, add 2. Oh, that's so good. Sacrifice a creature, add 2 swamp. People are gonna love this card. What is it called? Phyrexian Tower. So you can tap for colorless, or you could sack, add for 2 swamp. Definitely gonna be popular. Mono black, definitely sack creature is a thing. So that, as far as lands go, is probably an A tier. There's some crazy good lands though. Because this land's utility is one of the main functions of mono black. That's why I put A tier for it. This next one is Ral Zarek, but it's a younger Ral. It's a younger Ral. Here you go. Ral, Monsoon Mage, 2-drop, 1/3. Instant and sorcery spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell during your turn, flip a coin. You lose the flip. Ral, Monsoon Mage, deals 1 damage to you. You win the flip. You may exile Ral. If you do, return him to the battlefield transformed under his owner's control. Planeswalker here. So enters the battlefield with an additional loyalty counter on him for each instant and sorcery spell you cast this turn. Until your next turn, instant and sorcery spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. -2, 2 damage divided as you choose among 1 or 2 targets. Draw a card if you control a blue permanent other than Ral. Exile top 8 cards of your library for the -8. You may cast instances and sorceries from among them this turn without paying their mana cost. So it's like pretty strong abilities for Ral. Ral Leyline Prodigy. That's an awesome card right there. S tier for sure. Excuse me. Yeah, definitely S tier. Plus, I'm partial to the Ral. I did play Guilds of Ravnica, Return to Ravnica, Guilds of Ravnica, and that whole block. And that was pretty fun. I did enjoy it. I was mainly playing Izzet, but played a little bit of Boros too at that time. Ended up playing American Flash for standard in rotation during that time. Solid set. Definitely recommended it. Definitely recommend it. Alright, next one. Recruiter of the Guard, 3-drop, 1/1. When Recruiter of the Guard enters the battlefield, you may search your library for a creature card with toughness 2 or less. Reveal it, put it in your hand, then shuffle. Okay. That's all you're doing, though? D tier. How is that mythic? That's garbage. What are you talking about? Alright, next one is back to the commander sets. Where are you at, though? I think it is. Alright, this is Satya Aetherflux Genius. We got American and one other 3/5 Menace Haste. Whenever it attacks, create a tapped and attack token that's a copy of up to one target non-token creature you control. You get 2 energy. At the beginning of your next end step, sacrifice a token unless you pay an amount of energy equal to its mana value. So the more you attack, the more energy you get. The energy will just sit. It doesn't. I don't think energy empties as steps and phases end, so that will just go up over time. So eventually this will get good. It'll be good, and then not so good, and then good, and then not so good. So it's pretty decent setup for as far as abilities go. I'll say B tier. Mono blue. Shadow of the Second Sun. This is a 6-drop. Enchant player. At the beginning of enchanted player's post-combat main phase, there's an additional beginning phase after this phase. Beginning phase. Alright. At their post-combat main phase, there's an additional beginning phase. Okay, gotcha. So, the end step happens after the added untap, upkeep, and draw steps. Gotcha. Just to make it even more clear. Untap, upkeep, draw. Your turn. Response. 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 um, I don't see it being crazy good immediately. I'm just gonna throw it in C tier. Maybe I missed something there, but it's not amazing, especially for a 6-drop. That's insane. All right, we got Sorin, House of Markov. Let's look at this Planeswalker. 2-drop, 1/4, lifelink, extort. At the beginning of your post-combat main phase, if you gain 3 or more life this turn, exile Sorin, and then return him to the battlefield. Flip. Extort. Whenever you cast a spell, you may pay 1. If you do, each opponent loses 1 life, and you gain that much life. So think about this logically. Turn 2, play it. Cool. Pass turn. Turn 3, play a 2-drop spell that deals 2 damage and you gain 2 life or whatever. Very easy to do with Orzhov. And then pay the other one for your 3, right? So that extorts it. You get your 3rd life. Okay, opponent loses a life. You gain 3 life now, so now it flips. That easy. So turn 3, you could easily get this Planeswalker out. And then let's see how good he is. Could be trash, we don't know. It's also got extort, fantastic. Create a food token. So that's such a waste. That's such a waste. For a Planeswalker ability, you're gonna do create a food token for Sorin? Get out of here. Sorin Ravenous Neonate deals damage equal to amount of life you gain this turn to any target. That, however, my friend, just you can't believe you. You go and you do something like that and totally redeem yourself. This is that's an amazing ability. And I think the neonate cards, like the vampire neonates, were like the fling ones, deal damage equal to opponent or any target equal to its power. So this kind of is cool because it's to the life gain, and you do the extort, which is all like the whole gain life stuff. So that's kind of neat. The main ability here, the -6, the ultimate, gain control of target creature. It becomes a vampire in addition to other types. Put a lifelink counter on it. Control white permanent other than that creature or Sorin. Okay. So other than the one you're trying to take and Sorin, you control a white card, white creature, then this card enters with the lifelink counter. Okay. That's kind of neat. Sweet. I'm gonna say S tier. That's pretty strong. It's a pretty strong card. I'm guessing that's what all these planeswalkers. They're just gonna be OP. All right. Next we've got. Well, this one wasn't. This one wasn't that good at all. Next one we've got. Cameo. 1-drop. Alright, Cameo. 1-drop, 0/3 flying. Whenever it attacks, investigate. When you draw your 3rd card in a turn, exile Tameo and then flip. So that'll happen just from swinging. You don't need anything else to happen. Swinging, playing lands, tapping, whatever. So that's awesome. I like to see that. What else we got? Alright, so if you flip her over, probably do that turn 3, turn 4 maybe. Until your next turn, whenever a creature attacks you or a planeswalker you control, it gets -1, -0 until end of turn. Plus, that's its +2. -3, return target creature. Sorry, return target instant or sorcery card from your graveyard to your hand. If it's a green card, add 1 mana of any color. Okay, I like that. And then -7, draw cards equal to half the number of cards in your library, rounded up. You get an emblem with you have no maximum hand size. Big fan of no maximum hand size. Card advantage is very huge. A Simic card fetching instances and sorceries is pretty strong because a lot of times they'll use the fight mechanic and death touch. Sometimes you see it as a bug deck, but you can get away with it just being a Simic deck and using that strategy, and that's pretty strong. I'm gonna say S tier. I think it's good enough. All right, next card. Let's see. We've got 4 in the regular set, and then there's the 10 that are in the separate set in it that I don't think are legal normally. Again, normally I play standard, but there's like I think it's something unique about the legalities. I'll let you know when we get to them. But this one, all right, I got Ugin's Binding. This is a 3-drop, instant speed, 1 blue, 2 colorless, return target non-land permanent you don't control to its owner's hand. Whenever you cast a colorless spell with mana value 7 or greater, you may exile this from your graveyard. When you do, return each non-land permanent you don't control to its owner's hand. Alright, so whenever you cast a color spell with 7 or greater, you can exile this from your graveyard. When you do, return each non-land permanent you don't control to its owner's hand. So it's bad enough you're going to play some gigantic Eldrazi creature with like Annihilator, but then you're going to bounce all my stuff to my hand just from playing it. And this is this is instant. Okay. I was like, for a second, I had in my head that this was an artifact that you just play, and then as you like, you just have to get rid of it to continue. That would just be that much more annoying. But it's still good, even as an instant speed. Return target non-land permanent you don't control to its owner's hand. 3. Boom. Bounce. That's awesome. And I like the graveyard ability. The graveyard ability is nice. Just that little extra action is what makes this a mythic card. But it's not crazy good. I'm trying to think of the practicality. Would I be able to play this? And then is it so good of a card? Is it so good that I could like Snapcaster play it? Because if it's that good of a card, then you absolutely should be playing it. But this is like I don't think I would be playing this. So this is gonna be a C tier. I understand where they were going for it, but I don't think they got where they were supposed to go with that card. Next, this is a land thing. What was this one? This land was different. Oh, it's right here. Ugin's Labyrinth. Imprint. When Ugin's Labyrinth enters the battlefield, you may exile a colorless card with mana value 7 or greater from your hand. Tap. Add colorless. If a card is exiled with Ugin's Labyrinth, add 2 instead. Okay. So imprint. Alright, so if you imprinted something, instead of this tapping for 1, it taps for 2. And then for tap, return the exile card to its owner's hand. So I'm basically just going to put something there for safekeeping. I'm gonna play this land, and if I imprint something, not only does it hold it for safekeeping, like nobody can make me discard it or whatever. Obviously, there's land destruction, which will get rid of the card, but land destruction is a little bit more specific than discard a card. To try to play that kind of a strategy is very specific versus cards that say discard. So yeah, this is a good card. I like it. I don't know if I'm the kind of player that has the patience to play something like this. Like I want to draw and slam it down and pull it out of the library and just immediately put it onto the battlefield. I don't want to wait. You know what I mean? That's just me. So I'm not. I don't know, but I'm gonna say it's at least A tier as far as the lands go. But there's some crazy magic lands out there. Again, this is not a standard set, so you got to get out of that mindset. But there's some really crazy lands. So I don't think of the cards that I'm seeing here, this is definitely A tier style. All right, next we've got 2 more Eldrazi. One is from the Commander set. Let's take a look at that. They've been putting out so many cards. So many cards. It's kind of impressive, really. Oh, that's right. This guy. Alright, so this one. Ulalek Fused Atrocity. This is like they had some funny ones that people were all about. What was it? The Secret Lair. That's what it was called. Uh, the Secret Lair for like those cards. Oh man, what was it? Ulamagos or whatever. It was like a cereal box cover. That stuff was so funny. Uh, Ulalek Fused Atrocity is Wooburg or Noburg. However you want to spin it. And honestly, you probably just go Noburg each time. But Devoid, whenever you cast an Eldrazi spell, you may pay 2. If you do, copy all spells you control, then copy all other activated and triggered abilities you control. You may choose new targets for the copies. Mana abilities can't be copied. Okay. Whenever you cast an Eldrazi spell, you may pay 2. If you do, copy all spells you control. I kind of like it, but aren't most Eldrazi spells legendary creatures? So by copying them, aren't you just getting an ETB effect and then having to pick one? I don't. Maybe that's an oversight on their part for these Eldrazi. Perhaps I'm wrong, but here, let's take a quick look. Kozilek, legendary. That other one, legendary. Yeah, I don't know. But that seems kind of weird that you would copy a legendary, or like that would be your strategy. Cool artworks though. I like to see the weirdness in the new. Well, I don't know if that's new, but as far as mana fixing, that's as good as you could possibly have it right there. Yeah, however you want to do it, I don't care. Put it in whatever deck, doesn't matter. But they still wanted to put in there like you could pick colors, or you could spend any color that you want. It's up to you. uh, I'm gonna go for 5 drop being a 2/5. It's got some benefit, but you'd have to heavily invest in it, and it's just one creature to hinge on that strategy. I'm gonna go B tier actually. B tier. Alright, next we have another Eldrazi, another legendary. Let's see, where is this one? Oh, this one is in the regular set. Back and forth here all day. I'm saying. And what? Where'd it go? Where'd it go? Oh, there it is. Ulamog. Oh, there's Ulamog. There's our Ulamog. The Defiler, 10 drop, 7/7. When you cast a spell, target opponent exiles half their library rounded up. Oh my gosh. Ward, sacrifice 2 permanents. Ulamog, the Defiler, enters the battlefield with a number of plus counters on it equal to the greatest mana value among cards in exile. Okay. Has Annihilator X, where X is the number of +1 counters on it. Okay, so there's a battlefield with number of counters on it equal to the greatest mana value among cards. Okay. Sack permanents. Sack 2 permanents is the ward cost. Oh. And I think that's an activated ability. Oh, that is. So that Cauldron card can take that and give it to any other creature that has a +1 counter on it. Oh, that's so dirty. Whenever you cast it, target opponent exiles half their library. Just gone. Like, alright, that's clearly S tier. Yeah, that's definitely S tier. And so as far as the regular set, that's it. And I say that's it, like, kind of facetiously, because that is quite a good bit of MTG right there. Lots of good mechanics, lots of great cards. The CMCs aren't too bad. And then it said there's this like special set. Let me show you. Forget what it called it. But there's 10 cards here. Again, this is Mythic spoiler website. Check it out for yourself. I just like this set because, or like this website because it's clean. Clean is good. Where is it? Special guest. Here we go. So these are the 10 cards that I'm going to be talking about real quick. First one is Dismember. This is a reprint. This is a solid card. This is S tier card. So for 3, but I can pay 2 life for these Phyrexian mana. So this could be for 1 and 4 life. I can -5/-5 a creature. -5/-5 is important because this will help get around those indestructible and a lot of those weird situations that you couldn't otherwise get around. I'm heavy into indestructible as a mechanic, trying to use that as a combat trick. Um, like Guardian of New Benalia, discard a card and it gets indestructible, that kind of stuff. Because that can, everybody wants to destroy target creature, destroy this, destroy that, blah, blah, blah. I want to get the board state under control and secure a win that way. That's generally how I play. And so when I see this stuff, I kind of panic a little bit because I'm like, dang, there's nothing I can do about that. Because even if I make it indestructible, those minus minus counters or minus minus abilities right there is going to push my character to below 0. And as soon as that toughness gets to 0 below 0, boom, character's toast. So that's that's a great card. Everybody knows it's a great card. I remember when that came out, everyone was going nuts about it. This is a S tier card for sure, for sure. Endurance. Endurance is a 3-drop flash 3/4 with reach. Enters the battlefield after one target player puts all the cards from their graveyard onto the bottom of the library in a random order, and evoke, exile a green card from your hand. 3-drop 3/4 flash with reach. ETB puts up to one, or puts all the cards from their graveyard on the bottom of the library. That's so great, especially right now, just because so many people try to build up their graveyard. So you can be like, you can have it, but just not where you want it. put it on the bottom. That is going to be A tier for sure. And now we move on. Fury, 5-drop, 3/3 double strike, ETB, 4 damage divided as you choose creatures and planeswalkers. Evoke, exile red card from your hand. So this is neat. Big fan of these. Evoke, I believe that's the play it on another turn. I'll have to look that one up. But double strike, I'm always a fan. Dealing damage when it enters the battlefield is actually a really strong thing that I've noticed. I haven't seen that many cards do it because it can be very powerful, especially because the ETB is the damage, just because it's that fact. Not like it's a pumpable ability. You know, pay one or pay 2 mana, deal 1 damage to something. It's not like that. This is just a ETB, 4 damage, go send it. So then you could be like, cloud shift, blink, 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 4, 4, 4, 4, 4. There's lots of ways you can do that. So this could be very, very strong. I'm gonna say it's at least A tier as well. None of these cards are really wowing me, but the A tier for that one is good to me. Grief, 4-drop, menace, 3/2 ETB. Target opponent reveals their hand. Choose a non-land card from it. That player discards it. Okay, yeah, that's expensive for that, honestly, but it's a creature, and that aspect it gives it benefit. It's not legendary, so you could have multiples of these. Just go heavy on the discard, slight board state presence, try to win that way. I'd say that's a B level. It's a strategy that works with Esper. Alright, next. Persist. 2-drop. Turn target non-legendary creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield with a -1/-1 counter on it. Return target non-legendary creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. I don't know how I feel about that. I think I have seen some persist as an ability is fine. I've seen that card before, and there's some interesting ways that they've spun it in. There's this angel card I have that has persist on it, and obviously, if it has a -1/-1, like what is it? Glenalendra? Is it Glenalendra? Uh, has persist. And you could sack it to counter a spell. Comes back with the -1/-1 counter on it, but then you can blink it, right? And so when it enters the battlefield, it also counters the spell. So you cloud shift it, it blinks, and then there's no persist counter on it. So then when you sack it, it comes back again, and then with the -1/-1 counter on it, because technically you lost that when you exiled it and brought it back. So there's some interesting ways you can use that kind of ability, but this is just saying return target creature card and it's got a -1/-1 counter on it. That's where I'm like, I know persist, but like, is it good as a 2-drop at sorcery speed? Probably not. I'm gonna say C. Well, actually, there's probably some serious creatures that are non-legendary that you just bring back from your graveyard with a -1/-1. Now that I think about it, never mind. You get like a Galta out turn 2, and that would be disgusting. I'm gonna go A tier. Now that I think about it, like, yeah, you can get Galta out. Yeah. Alright, next. Hey, where'd it go? There we go. This is Solitude 5-drop 3/2 flash lifelink. Whenever Solitude enters the battlefield, exile up to one other target creature. That creature's controller gains life equal to its power, and then invoke, exile a white card from your hand. Flash lifelink, love that. For 5. 3/2 seems a bit light. ETB, exile one target creature. That creature's controller gains life equal to its power. Okay. I think that's Swords to Plowshares. I think. I really do. Could be that one. So that's kind of neat. If that's true, if you find a way to blink that, that could be really good. That's S tier. Yeah, S tier. So I'm just gonna blink Swords Plowshares over and over. Like, what? That's so good. Subtlety. 4-drop 3/3. Flash flying. ETB, choose up to one target spell or planeswalker spell. The owner puts it on the top and bottom of their library. Flash flying ETB. Oh no. Oh no. This is kind of like Glenalendra. ETB, choose up to one target creature spell or planeswalker. Oh. So I'll have to look up Evoke. But if the Evoke is not like, I don't need to worry about it if I'm blinking it, then that is, you could do that really good. Same thing with the one that we just looked at. Oh, okay. So we gotta go S tier for that. Yeah, for Solitude. That could be S tier too. It just depends on what Evoke is. I'd have to look that up to know for sure. Alright, so now we've got Thought Not Seer. This is a reprint, if I remember correctly. Was it Thought Seer or Thought Not Seer? I think I remember people talking about this one. So this one is not a legendary Eldrazi that we talked about earlier, so that could make a difference. This is a 4-drop 4/4. Thought Not Seer enters the battlefield. Target opponent reveals their hand. You choose a non-land card from it and exile that card. When Thought Not Seer leaves the battlefield, target opponent draws a card. Enters the battlefield, reveal their hand, choose a non-land. Okay. Leaves the battlefield, target opponent draws a card. Okay. I mean, it's kind of good. I know, I feel like there's a way that you exploit this card, and I don't remember exactly what that is. So I'm going to put it as A tier just because I remember people going nuts with something. Like, I'm pretty sure it was that card. So there's probably something I'm missing about it, but I do recall that card. Expressive Iteration, I remember this one. Wasn't this a rare? This might have gotten an upgrade. I don't know. Maybe I'm remembering a different one. Let's see. Look at the top 3 cards of your library. Put one of them into your hand. Put one of them on the bottom of your library and exile one of them. You may play the exile card this turn. Look at the top 3. Okay, so I'm pulling 3 off the top for 2. 1 into my hand of my choice, which is awesome for looking at 3 cards and just put 1 in your hand for 2. But then I get to also put 1 on the bottom of your library. So 1's just, I'm not going to play it that game. And 1 is just exiled. But I can play it this turn. So, oh man. So you're effectively getting 2 cards for 2 and looking at the top 3 of your deck. That's so strong. If that was instant speed, oh man, that would be so crucial. Fortunately, it's sorcery speed, which makes me think that it is not S tier and it is not A tier, but I would probably put that at B tier. Because while that is very nice artwork, and it's a really cool ability, I don't think it's that amazing. Alright, moving on. Yeah, so this last one, I'm thinking A tier probably would be the best way to go. So I'll throw that up to A tier, and that is going to do it. I do appreciate you joining me as always. Watch these games, get those gains, and walk those planes. Until next time, Deckheads, keep it easy.